To understand what exactly the issue is, I'm joined now by Ashok Agarwal. He's the lawyer for the teachers of the EDMC who are now demanding justice. I'm also speaking with Furqan Qamar. He's the former advisor of education for the Planning Commission of India. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us this evening on the show. Mr. Agarwal, can you please begin by giving us a sense of what the teachers are demanding? Why has it come to a situation where teachers have to go to court just to get paid?
So what has happened, I think for the last 4 or 5 years, this problem is going on, not only in this NDMC, but not only in EDMC, but in other corporations also. Always this problem of funding is going on, and simultaneously matters coming up in the High Court also. And High Court is pulling Delhi government, central government, corporations, and from time to time, because of pulling by the High Court, payments were made, but not regularly. And now the situation is that EDMC 5,000 teachers of the primary schools have not been paid salary for the 5 months, means December onwards up to April. Then five of the EDMC teachers moved Delhi High Court saying that 5,000 EDMC teachers have not been paid for the last 5 months, and it amounts to violation of their fundamental right to livelihood as guaranteed to them under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. It also says that in terms of Section 7 of Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009,
right.
It is the concurrent responsibility of the Delhi government and the central government to provide funds. So therefore, this petition was filed against not only against EDMC, but also against central government and Delhi government to ensure immediate payment of the due amount, and in future also the payment should be made regularly. There we have also said that in case they are unable to pay, the EDMC is unable to pay, then they should hand over all their EDMC primary schools to Delhi government for further management. And we have also said that if it is done, it will not ensure regular payment of salary to the employees, but also it will improve the standard of education in the primary schools. So this is what we have stated before the High Court, and today it was before the single judge, and we pointed out that this is a matter of public interest. Therefore, it should be referred to a division bench of this court.
Absolutely.
Then High Court,
but
single bench passed an order referring the matter to the division bench for 12th of May of this year.
Sure, but the fact is that the teachers are still waiting.
It is very unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate, sir. You are right. In the interim, the teachers are still waiting. Imagine they haven't been paid for 5 months at a time when prices are skyrocketing. We keep talking about mehengai. These people have not been paid their salaries. Mr. Qamar, I want to understand why we have these systemic issues, and this is unfortunately not something just limited to the East Delhi Municipal Corporation. Right now, as we speak, there are some teachers of the Vijayawada Municipal School Corporation, school teachers in Vijayawada, who have not received their salaries for the month of February this year. Hundreds of government school teachers in Tamil Nadu have not got their March and April salaries. It is unfortunately not a new situation. Why do we have a system that does not manage to pay our teachers, especially those who work in government schools?
Thank you, Tamanna, for inviting me to this program. And first of all, my sympathies to the teacher and good luck to Mr. Ashok Agarwal, who explained the legal situation very well. Actually, it is not only a legal issue and also a human issue. It is a very, very systemic issue, and we have been neglecting the funding of education for almost past 30, 40 years. Over time, the politics and the procedures and the red tapeism in this whole process has led to a situation where not only in schools in Delhi, but even in colleges in Delhi face this kind of problems. And not only schools across the country, but also the colleges and the higher educational institutions, they are all facing these kinds of difficulties. Payment delays in payment of salaries, non-payment of salaries, non-payment of retirement benefits of these teachers. And that is because systematically we have been state after state and also by the center cutting the budgetary funds for education. In real terms, the budget for education has been declining. You see, salary is the committed expenditure, and in school education, it constitutes almost 75 to 85% of the total expenditure of schools. And a little disturbance either in the flow of funds, and quite often the flow of fund is disturbed because there is a financial constraint. So people in the government apply various kinds of requirements that furnish these documents, furnish those documents, and as a result they delay the disbursement of money. Of course, in case of this Delhi, there is also a politics involved, but I think essentially at the root of it is the decline in the public investment in education. In 68, we had made commitment to the nation that we will be spending 6% of the GDP, and we have not yet reached about 3% of the GDP.
But sir, if you can explain to me, and this follow-up question for Mr. Furqan, even if as a proportion of GDP, the education budgets are not going up as much as expected, salaries for teachers is the bare minimum. You're saying 75% of the cost. So unless you're planning to shut down these schools, how can you not have money to pay the teachers? Is it red tape? Is it red tape, or there are officials who just don't care to push it along in time? What is the root cause? It can't simply be that there is no money.
I think essentially because they have been cutting down their budgets, so there is no money available for the education sector. And then they also do not have courage to say that, okay, we are exiting the school system and let all the schools become private, because it will become a huge political issue. So they have to run it. And then there are various kinds of things, politics, bureaucracy, these are all secondary, which are causing to these delays. Salaries are the most predictable expenditure to estimate well in advance. You know the rates, you know the amount, you know the dates when that is to be paid. So if there is a will, the amount must be available and that needs to be made available, but that is not happening. And I think they are not realizing that it is not only causing hardship to the teachers. You can understand that how can hungry teachers or the teachers who have not been paid salaries or their dues over months, sometimes 5 months, 6 months, how can they motivate themselves to teach to these students, and how would their demotivation would not reflect in their teaching, learning processes, etc. So it is affecting the overall education system. So I think a systemic solution needs to be found out, and this commitment must be iterated. Somebody can argue that, okay, where is the money that is available to spend 6% of the GDP? I would say that if you want to spend, you can find ways and means of mobilizing.
Sure, but I think 6% of GDP may be the overall overarching goal. The bare minimum is to pay the teachers for the schools that are open. Now, Mr. Agarwal, you are representing the teachers in court, and we have been playing out their voices also through the day on the channel. But tell us some of their stories, what they're going through when they don't get paid for 5-6 months. What are the kind of conditions that they're suffering through?
A very bad situation, because their family, which may be in thousands, another thousands, how they will survive? They have to pay EMIs, they have to pay their school fees of their children, they have to meet other daily expenses also. But this is a very serious matter. It is an infringement of the fundamental right of livelihood. If our government is not able to ensure livelihood when they are working, it is not that they are not working. They are working and not paid. It is a shame. It is a national shame, I can say. You made a commitment of 6% GDP in 1968, and then you made a commitment by making the Compulsory Education Act. What you are doing?
Yeah.
This is very shameful situation. The teachers have to come on the road, and I agree with my friend that it will adversely affect on the education of the children also. When demotivated teachers are asked to teach the students, can we expect them that they will do their duty faithfully? It is possible with empty stomach and all problems in the house.
Yeah.
What their children will saying to the teachers, Papa, hame fees deo. And what he will answer, no, I have not been paid. It is a very cheap politics, I think. I have never seen earlier that before this Aam Aadmi Party has come in power, that this problem was there. It was never. It is all happening after Aam Aadmi Party has come into power.
But is it a political issue, Mr. Agarwal? I mean, you're speaking here on the legal premise, and Mr. Furqan also said it's a political issue. But is it a political issue? Because this is the East Delhi MCD, right? So who is running that?
No, as I have said, under the Right to Education Act 2009, Section 7, providing fund is a concurrent responsibility of the central government and the state government.
Right, but you have just given the whole thing a political twist. So I'm trying to understand why you're saying that. Do you think it's one party, one state issue?
All have to be understood the problem, and all have to sit together and solve it. I have dealt with the cases of 12 Delhi University colleges where it was supposed to be funded 100% by Delhi government, and Delhi government did not pay them. Yeah. And I have to move to the High Court.
Imagine in center state, whether it's political, whether it's bureaucratic, how can you not pay your teachers? How can you not pay your gurus? We come from a culture which respects the guru, but we don't want to pay them. We're talking about a new education policy to be brought into the country to change the way our future generations are educated, but you don't want to pay the teachers.
I have serious doubt about this new education policy.
But it is the vision. How do you implement a new education policy without teachers who've actually gotten paid? How do you come to a $5 trillion economy without educating your children? That's the question today, isn't it, Mr. Furqan?
That's very, very correct. I'm saying that politics and the bureaucratic red tapeism, delays, etc., come much later. It's the larger systematic issues that you are not allocating enough for education. If you are not allocating enough for education, you try to justify that, okay, since the national government is not paying me and therefore I can't pay to MCD and so on and so forth. And it is not only a question of the school teachers. They must be paid, they must immediately be paid, and they must regularly be paid. In fact, it is a social contract that the nation has with all its nationals, students in particular, that it takes the responsibility of providing education under Right to Education Act, at least up to elementary level, but even otherwise. Problem is that we have been not investing enough in all types of higher education, and these are all manifestation. So as you are seeing that in Delhi alone, since 2014, we are seeing these problems of teachers going on strike, demanding their legitimate due, and then the courts interfering, and then only their amounts are being released. I mean, how long can it go on? So I think the issue will have to be addressed at the national level. I think we can talk a lot about education policy. There are good things, bad things, but you very rightly said that without paying to the teacher, without addressing...
It's absolutely unfair to expect the world from our teachers, to expect them to guide our future generations, and for them not to be paid is just completely unacceptable. We hope this issue is resolved at the earliest. I want to thank both of you for joining us on the discussion today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, these are some of the things that we must keep in mind when we demand better education, when we ask why so many of our students and families go in for private education. Well, this is the state of government education, at least in some cases. That's all the time we have on this edition of Beyond the Headline, but we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then.